list.
So before we jump into the big one, Ryan, let's talk about it.
It being
You've had
BJJ.
48 hours to process now.
Yeah.
Let's
I
hear
actually
your
feel
thoughts.
worse today than I
You know
did
what?
yesterday.
I almost texted you earlier today. I think it caught up with me today. I slept like shit last night. I
Yeah.
was moving slow and weird. My nose is all stuffy. Yeah.
What
Not
what are
good.
the
I
fellowship missing? What are the fellowship
oh
missing?
yeah, we're
What did you do? Why are
I
you
did my
sore?
first B Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class.
We're jujitsu boys now.
We're Jiu-Jitsu boys, yeah.
Love it.
Not
No
men.
pic no
Not
picture for
jujitsu men.
posterity,
And no
boys.
pictures because that's gay. Like lavender soap. And that's a callback. That's a deep cut. What I was gonna say is if you think you're a jujitsu man, I want to introduce you to the guy who had maybe the coolest accent of all time who taught our class on Monday night.
Oh yeah,
And
he's definitely Brazilian.
oh yeah. And he would
Pronounced
say
go ahead. Go
thumb.
ahead.
No, I can't do it.
No, because he was talking about one of the chokes and using your thumb.
Yeah.
But he was saying like tomb.
And then he looked around. He's like, "Am I saying that right?"
Like, no. And he had the proclivity of going like, you want one more time? See it one more time? And then like wanted somebody to say, yeah, show us the technique one more time because
Which I did the first time.
the person who was just a random person in the class that he would be like, you
Brown
come,
belt that first time though.
you come, I'm gonna choke you right with my gi and I'm gonna show you how. One more time? One more time? And then people, one more time? No, no. And then he'd make a joke and then we would practice on each other. Uh, yeah, a lot of gi chokes going on. A lot of using your opponent's arm to choke themselves.
They call
And
that
then
gift wrap.
live rounds. Basically had to tell everybody that I drilled with or sparred with, hey, it's my first day. In which they're like that's an actual thing. And I went to go do a live round with the guy I was drilling, and he's like, no, 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 two white belts, too dangerous, too dangerous. And then he like this guy who's
He
probably like,
broke us up too.
yeah,
Yeah,
too
Yeah.
dangerous.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
You could hurt each
It does
other.
make sense. Yeah.
Totally.
in hindsight, for sure. And he brings over a guy who his name was Gary, very nice gentleman.
Shout
Uh,
out.
shout out to Gary. Was like, cool, we'll just go your speed, man. Like, you do what you want to do and we'll figure it out. And then I'm
He's
like,
the purple
okay,
belt, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
not a lot.
we'll
You don't
figure
have a lot for him.
we'll figure it out. And I'm like, cool. So like we're on the ground. I'm like, so like, do I just try to take you down? He's like, whatever you want to do.
I
And
fucking love it.
I'm like, okay. So like I grabbed his collar and then he immediately like grabbed my collar and then grabbed my cuff on my other arm and just threw me to the ground. And he had threw me to the ground. He had to have like at least a solid 50 pounds on me.
Big boy.
So being mounted by a gentleman who's 50 pounds heavier than you, like, in my mind, what I'm trying to do is a hip escape, nothing. And then he just crushes me from top position. And uh he submitted me. I tapped, and then we went. It was a 5 minute round, live spar, and then we actually did like a stalemate for the second half of that, which I felt honestly pretty good about.
Yeah.
And then
How
there was
did
another
you
gentleman. Go ahead.
how'd you stalemate him? Were you like hand fighting with him the whole time
Yeah, there
or
was a lot. Well, we locked up, and then on the ground, I was in top position, but he definitely had like he was looking to go 2 for 1 on one of my wrists and like try and use that to sweep. That's what I figured out was his move. He was engaging his legs to be able to control where my posture went. Like, and another gentleman basically gave me the ins and outs of full guard and how you're really
Did
supposed to squeeze a full guard.
did
Hmm.
someone say to you at one point, I'm pretty sure I overheard, "Oh, it's your first day? Okay, cool. So the name of the game for you is just trying to survive."
One of the gentlemen may have said that,
Something along those lines. Yeah.
like, yeah, just try not to get submitted,
Yeah.
right? Just see how long you can last. And then it was after the first round that the gentleman aforementioned Gary was like, "Do you know what you did wrong?" I'm like, "Lots," essentially. And he's like, "You were going full steam the whole time." He's like, "You got to learn to control your energy and wait for the
Mm,
right moment to burst." And I could tell him, like, after the first round, I had to take a break because my arms were dead.
mm,
I was like, wow, I thought I was in somewhat okay shape, and my arms were they were jelly.
mm,
So what one thing that I think I mentioned this on Monday night when we were walking out. One thing about in the gi, because that was only my third class there, but in the gi, but I had done a good 6 or 7 months of no gi before that years ago. No gi is much faster, much faster, and you kind of do sort of empty the gas tank.
mm,
Maybe some schools of thought for no gi, like I'm sure Gracie no gi teaches it differently, but 10th Planet did not. 10th Planet, I have since learned from people at the Gracie that we were going to that 10th Planet has a reputation of being kind of aggressive and kind of needlessly aggressive in some cases. And I definitely now seeing the two ways that it's taught can kind of feel that, but in the gi it's much slower than you think it is. You don't, and I'm there was one, and I rolled all 6 rounds. There was only one time where I was able to submit the gentleman, and it was because he was being too aggressive. He was like shooting for double legs kind of right away, and he wasn't big enough to like muscle me down. And
mm.
so then he kind of like turned awkwardly on his hip, kicked me in the face, not on purpose. And then I realized I had his back and I grabbed it. And I did learn the like body lock, body triangle type of thing at 10th Planet. So I just did that as hard as I could and then got my arms under his neck, and that was it. That was the only time I've ever submitted anyone live in my entire life. I mostly just try to survive, but it is slower in the gi. And that's what he was kind of trying to say when he was showing the technique. Like, if I can get to this position, I'll just wait until what I want is available. He goes, they try to move their hands here, no problem. They try to go here, no problem. They can't go this way. They can, but what I wish they had taught us was how to get to that position.
Yeah. I
Because
think
if
that's
you're
where the
in,
fundamental classes come in.
yeah, they for sure do. And if you can get to complete mount, yeah, you have a pretty significant advantage. But you can't do those things from the person's guard, and a lot of those, it's not a lot of people's first day. They, a lot of them have been doing it, but they're all really cool. When you tell them where you're at, they're like, okay, let's, I know what I'm dealing with. They're not going to hurt you. They're not going to just go 100 miles an hour. But then you see some of them who you can tell have been rolling together for a while that go pretty hard. So it's just different. That was, I would say, of every jiu-jitsu class I've ever been to, that was probably the best one. I probably felt best about that one. So it got me a little more excited to go back, because I'm not like, oh yeah, it's jiu-jitsu night. It's not like that.
Yeah.
But it's the
It's
year of hard things, and I don't want to be a little bitch. So
yeah.
that's
We
that's
don't
pretty much what I keep telling myself. The rent's due, and someone's got to fucking pay it. You know what I mean?
yeah. That's the pretty neat podcast.
That's
That's
the
the
pretty
pretty
neat podcast. That's right.
support each other, join the fellowship. We'll get support right back.
If I want to do this, then I have to pay for it by going to jiu-jitsu. That's how I do it in my head.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. That's the toll to be a host on the Pretty Neat podcast.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
Okay. Well, I have to figure something out then.
I think you should try it.
I think I probably should too. I
I
don't, there's at least one Gracie. I
Oh
know
yeah,
there's a
in every town in America, yeah,
yeah, and it's Austin, so like now there's a ton. I mean, 10th
yeah.
Planet is right next to Rogan's studio,
I don't
and
respectfully recommend starting there.
I probably wouldn't.
Our Gracie gym does have no-gi once or twice a week.
Twice a week.
I don't know how quickly I'm gonna be in there. Although, Ryan, did you hear in the next room over the judo going on?
Yes.
Yeah.
The thuds on the
Oh
ground.
yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
Like,
awesome.
That's on my list at some point, but not
I
anytime
agree. I
soon.
agree. The lady who I assume is Tom's wife,
I can't tell.
the
One of them definitely is.
She was like, "So are you jujitsu or judo?" And I'm like, "Yeah, definitely jujitsu. I'm not ready for judo yet." She's like, "Okay, yeah, off to the left."
Yeah. Yeah. It's a nice
Uh,
facility though, isn't it?
it is. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
did I tell you that I had told you previously I should call ahead and just make sure it's okay.
Yeah.
And I did, and
Mm-hmm.
Tom was like, "Hey, I'm not teaching tonight because I'm doing some other stuff, but I'm definitely teaching on Tuesday. But I'll meet you when you get there." And then he wasn't around, so I called him and he met me up front and we shook hands and it's very nice.
Oh,
He actually
yesterday?
on Monday.
Oh, nice.
On Monday. And then last night, I went to bed early because fucking tired.
Yeah.
Um, he sent me a text and
Nice.
was like, "Hey, I never sent you a text back, but I just want to make sure you got in." Because obviously, like, he's not putting a face to the person who called him.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, "Yeah, yeah, I made it in. I made it to the 6:30 class on Monday," which was awesome. Like, he like cared enough to follow up and make sure
Mm-hmm.
that I like got to experience it. So I was stoked on that. I do definitely want to go to one of the fundamental classes over the weekend, which I'm thinking Saturday, I guess. I don't know, maybe Sunday. It just depends on like how the weekend shakes out. But just like basic stuffs. I was learning how to do like uh, side hip escapes while doing live sparring from the other gentleman who was very helpful. His name was
Mm-hmm.
Mark,
Mm-hmm.
who was like, never turn away from me, never give me your back, right? He like, you want to push away but face me, and your whole point is to regain guard. And then he's like, yes, exactly. And they could tell like he wasn't going full bore. He said, I'm gonna go easy, but then I'm gonna let you know I'm still there. And he did. And he was just talking me through it, like, hey, I know this is a really uncomfortable position, but that's what jujitsu is. I was like,
I
yep,
mean,
this is
you
true.
have to kind of accept it, right? It's not, it feels like what it looks like.
Yeah, I had a couple of moments where I was like, I like a couple of moments of where you like your body wants to panic.
Yep.
And I'm like, I can tap at any time. And I'm like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not in danger. This guy's just fucking all over me. Um, and then just figure it out and be more present. I think that's the biggest thing for like those that are not novices with jujitsu is they're always present of
Yep.
where they're at,
Yep.
where position their bodies in. And another thing that Gary told me is like, you're moving and you're trying to be fluid, but you're also trying to think 3 steps ahead of what you're going to do. So I was like, it's just high stakes chess. That's all it is. It's just
Mm-hmm.
super high stakes chess. And not that I like did immensely better after that realization, but it's all a new experience. So going back, I kind of want to see how I react in those positions again, because assuredly until I learn how to get a takedown, or if I start going balls deep into tutorial videos on like, basics of entry and getting guard and, pros and cons of side control versus half guard, et cetera.
Yeah.
Like it's just going to be trial by fire.
I mean, even Gordon Ryan gets into positions he doesn't want to be in, you know.
Yeah, and
So
he's
that's just
the
the way
best.
jujitsu works. You're going to get put in a position you don't want to be in.
Yeah.
It's what you do with it. And what I have enjoyed about the way they teach it at this particular Gracie, and I'd imagine most Carlson Gracies, it it's a very accepting group. Like the and I you know what, I cannot remember his name, but the professor that was like in my little area during drills on the lapel choke where you just swing your leg over and then kind
Yeah.
of like gift basket them up. Um,
Yeah.
my legs don't just move that fluidly.
Same.
And he was like, "Hey, I'm not flexible at all. Like, try this, shift your hips just a little bit here, and then swing it this way." And he's like, and be confident in your position on his chest. If you're here, he can't buck you off. And so like probably my fourth try, I kind of got it better. And he's like, okay, see, that's good. And I appreciate that. Like, I'm not gonna give you a coaching tip and then walk away to the next group. I'm gonna watch you do it and like talk you through it because they know who's brand new and who's been there for a little while and who needs it more and who doesn't. And I don't know. It's again, I'm not like, oh yeah, can't wait for Monday night, but like I also am in starting to enjoy the process a little bit. And it's fucking hard, man. It's so hard.
It's so hard.
It really we were talking about it when we walked out to the parking lot, Aaron. Like also, you notice how many they have. It's cool that Tom reached back out to you because they don't need the business. You know what I mean? Their
We had to
kids'
park across the
classes,
street.
their kids' classes are so full. The adult class, like I said, that was a small adult class, and the judo room I think was pretty much full too. There was another jujitsu class coming in right after. I was like, they don't need the business. They're fine. But I don't necessarily think it's about that for them. And they sent out a newsletter earlier this morning, and I don't know. Tom himself just won gold at like 4 competitions recently. It's like, good Lord. Um, and he looks like one of those guys that you'd see in a bar or something and be like, I'm not crossing that guy
Not that
because
dude.
he's not the one. And yeah, so we were talking about how like how difficult it must be to focus on striking, but also focus on the grappling. Like there's just so much that these MMA guys do and girls that it's wild
Like
stuff.
all the variations and things that you can do in just a grappling perspective. And then you throw in the other element of, well, what if this guy is trying to punch you in the face?
It gives you like who's a stand-up guy who's also like Charles Oliveira.
Charles
Like
Oliveira.
his grappling is so elite and his stand-up has gotten so good. It's like, how did you master 2 of these?
Yeah.
Wild stuff. John Jones is like the ultimate example, right? Like, how are you just this good at all of it? You know, Kevin
Yeah.
Holland, right? His ground game is so good, and his stand-up game is like pretty solid too. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
don't.
Yeah.
It's
Kevin Holland's a
impressive.
black belt.
Oh
Like
yeah, like a
he's a
Travis Lutter
black
black
belt.
belt, like a
Mm-hmm.
legit black belt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh, the Blues just
It's good.
destroyed the Blackhawks.
It's good. Yeah, they did.
Well, the Blackhawks are not good. And
No, they're
and
not.
while they will be good in the future, they're not good now, right? The reason you get the number 1 draft pick is not because you're lucky, it's because you're bad.
Yep.
Yes. Well, that's fun. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it.
And I'm gonna publicly say it. Ryan had an out, and we had just started warm-ups, and I turned around, and there he was, glorious mane and all. And I was like, fuck
Yep.
yeah.
I was like, I had put it off, I put it off, I put it off. And then I'm like, dude, I have so much to do. I am not going to be able to go and make it by 6:30. Because I'm like, I still got to call and make sure it's okay. And then it was like 6 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm done. And I walked out into the living room and Ashley's like, are you going to jujitsu? And I'm like, no. She's like, are you scared? And I'm like, yeah, kinda. She's like, why? Like, why? Just go. Your friend's gonna be there. It'll be fine. And she's like, I'm like, I still gotta call and like I gotta get there early. She's like, it's close. It's close.
It is
And I'm
super
like,
close to you. Yeah.
I'm like, you're right. And I just picked up my phone and I already had the page open. I called. He didn't answer right away. He sent me a text and then he called me right back. I said, hey, it's really short notice, but I was wondering if I can come in and join the 6:30 class tonight. He's like, yeah, yeah, come in, come in. He's like, can you be here a little early? I'm like, I'm like 15 minutes away. He's like, perfect. I'll meet you up front. He's like, wear something comfortable. And I was like, I have a gi, right?
Yeah, you
Thankfully.
do.
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Aaron. He's like, you gotta, yeah, do you have a belt? I'm like, yep. He's like, oh, cool. Bring your gi, bring your belt. And just bring some. He's like, bring sandals and bring something to drink.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was fun. It was good. It was really good. It was really
Awesome.
good.
It's an experience for sure. There is something fun about it. There's a lot of things not fun about it, but it's I got to figure out my mouth guard situation. I don't even know where it is, but my jaw was sore until like an hour ago.
I have a feeling that there's a lot of things good about it, and there's a lot of things that are not good about it or are uncomfortable, is a really good segue into talking about the fights that are happening on
What's
Saturday.
uncomfortable about the fights that are happening on Saturday?
Yeah, yeah. Talk to us about uncomfort, Aaron.
Other than the
There's just
fact
so
that
many coin flips.
Tatsuro
There,
Taira won't be joining us today, but other than that,
yeah, well, there's so many coin flips. There's so many fights that
oh,
seem like
it
we
is
could be way off on what we think's gonna happen.
it is the best card they've ever had
Hmm.
Yeah, agreed.
by and we were wrong about this not 7 weeks ago, right? Where 299 was really shaping up to be better than 300,
Hmm.
and 299 was great,
Hmm.
but
It
300 they
was
really did not miss here.
it was a very tasty appetizer,
And he
but
kept saying, Dana kept saying, just wait until you see the 300 card. And it's like, well, and we were like, what else is it? What even other fight is there? And then it just,
I have
yeah,
no idea what the fight night layout is for the next 4 months. I don't
it's
know
not
any of
great.
that.
It's
I
not
don't.
great.
Does it
Even
matter?
301 is not great.
We're going to be talking about 300 for like the next 10 episodes,
It
probably.
feels like it. It feels like it.
Until 350, probably.
Yeah, honestly, there's really not a good one until probably the Whitaker Chimaev fight night in June.
That's like International Fight Week already.
It's 301 and 302. So,
Damn.
yeah.
Yeah.
302, I think, is going to be the Connor card.
Yeah.
That's
We're
New Jersey, though, so maybe not. Maybe 303 for June 29th.
yeah.
And they introduced the 260 belt. But this is not the time for that.
No.
265. This is not the
No.
time.
No, it's not. And you know what? It's also not the time to reflect on this past weekend's card.
No, because no one
Good
cares.
good job, Brandon Allen. Woo!
Sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, your hamstring tore, Chris Curtis.
Yeah. Split decision main event, and it wasn't even an exciting fight. Like there were other better fights on the card. Uh, so yeah, this is the UFC 300 Pretty Neat podcast episode, and as in typical fashion with our cold opens, we're 30 minutes in,
That's
we're
right.
20 minutes in, and we have to introduce ourselves and welcome you to the fellowship, to the nearly 440 of you that follow us on
Hey,
Spotify. And the couple of you that follow us on YouTube, you're more than welcome to push us into the double digits if you want, but
Woo!
that is not really our primary focus. We are an auditory indulgence for MMA fans and people who want to
some
talk.
would say the auditory indulgence.
Yes, we will orgasmically entertain your ear holes. And while we talk about UFC and other pretty neat stuff, go to theprettyneatpodcast.com to check stuff out and see some awesome card sellers like Box Alarm Trading, who had me on their show earlier today. Shout
Hell
out to
yeah.
Zach, Eric. It was really fun to talk to you about the card trade and the implications of UFC 300 on the card trade.
What?
So,
How come
yeah.
you didn't tell me you were on this before? Was it a live thing, or can I go and listen to it?
It's on Zoom. It'll be on YouTube most likely. And
Okay.
yeah, Box Alarm Trading on YouTube, where they review cards, talk about trades, do a lot of collabs with other card traders and collectors. And we wanted to talk UFC, and I hope I represented us as a trio well. And
I'm going to ask this. Did you get a plug-in for this show?
of course,
Okay, good. I shouldn't have had to ask, but it would kill me if I did.
of course, and free shout outs from them for
Yeah,
us and
for
from
sure.
us to them. Zach, Eric, you're welcome on the show anytime.
Absolutely.
And we, of course, uh, absolutely respect the men and women of the fire department, such as yourselves.
We do.
So, and also very fitness focused gentlemen. And Zach, your ACL tear that you are recovering from and therefore identify with Rakic on will heal up and you'll be 100% hitting those PRs very soon, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm Aaron. With me as always are those two fine gentlemen.
I'm Dom, and again, no Tatsuru Taira today. There were rumors on the Pretty Neat Podcast rumors.com. Well, it's actually a .org. We just want to get the information out there that Tatsuro was going to be here today, but
Yeah.
he could not make it.
It was a late
394th time he's canceled.
Yep.
a late cancellation. Unfortunate, but there's always next time. I'm
It
Ryan.
goes that way. It goes that way.
I am the whitest of white Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belts. The
Black
whitest of
belts?
white belts. Whitest of white belts. But a black belt in MMA commentary, if I do say so myself.
Ooh, I like it.
I think that's fair. I think
I
you are
agree.
very competitive in your commentary. Which actually, I'd like to pose this. What is it? Would you rather to both of you? Would you
Okay.
rather be a color commentator, a play-by-play commentator, a
Mm,
betting analyst, or a ref
So for what?
for
For
MMA? And
UFC.
we'll even say UFC.
Okay.
So
So
definitely not ref.
I would agree. I don't want to
Me
be a
neither.
ref. I don't want to have to be the arbiter of that, even though we have strong opinions of
Yeah.
what some referees do.
Too much backlash.
I think a bet analyst and play-by-play and color commentary all require a lot of film study. So I don't think there's like a necessarily advantage or disadvantage there. Play-by-play. Are we talking about like the full John Anik experience where you're doing like audiophile study of how people pronounce their names? And I mean, you have the UFC who's doing, or another MMA organization, hypothetically, that's giving you a lot of like background information on the fighter. You're
Hmm.
really kind of just reiterating the actions that you're viewing at the moment, where the color commentators really have to relate that to the audience. Like really
I feel like that would be
not,
me.
yeah, not don't be super technical, make it relatable,
The
but also,
translators.
yeah, also underscore the importance of some of the things that are happening. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think you would be a color commentator in your opinion. I think I could go play by play. And if I had to pick for Dom, I think he would go betting analyst.
See, you would think that.
Yeah, but no.
Am I locked to the UFC?
Not necessarily.
If you were to give me those questions, my answer is Lakers TV play-by-play guy,
Ooh,
Ooh,
which is a job I would then hold 1 day less than Chick Hearn out of respect.
props. Props.
That would be my goal. And I do think Stu Lance would last that long. He
he's held
seems to
on.
be
Yeah,
ageless.
he's
Nice.
ageless. Yeah, good point.
Okay.
I like
If it
these
is
calls.
just the UFC, here's my fundamental problem with answering this question is I want viewers. And I do not think that any gambling show gets quite as many viewers as play-by-play or color does. So that's why
That's true.
gambling is out. Now, if I could be Lakers play-by-play guy and moonlight as UFC gambling or NFL gambling, now we're talking.
Amen. I like
Okay.
this.
That's where my mind goes. And if the Lakers are not available, then I want the Angels.
Cool. I align with all of you on this. I think that you've nailed each other pretty well. Although I do think Ryan would make a pretty excellent betting analyst for MMA on
I
some of
do
the lines.
too. And as sports betting becomes
And
more
that's
and
not
more
picking, like not
more
necessarily making picks, but
more and more mainstream and illegally done by players and interpreters, right? We didn't even talk a couple weeks ago about the fucking Toronto Raptors player who's the league's like, yeah, we're not going to let him play again ever because he was throwing his own stats. My over
uh,
under is 5.5. Take the under. He gets 4 points and suddenly gets something in his eye and can't play anymore.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
good times, really good times. Gambling analyst is intriguing to me. I've really been diving deep into the baseball betting world and having some success. Uh, so I don't know. The models and projection schemes interest me, but again, in that particular question, I want eyeballs. So
There you go. I like this. I like this. Go to the prettyneatpodcast.com, hit the mailbag, and tell us your vote in this matter. And at the end, we'll tally it up.
yeah,
We'll share it on the episode
winner
when
gets a
Tot
liquid
when
death.
yeah, and Tatsu Taira will help us pick on that episode.
He
He'll
will.
he'll read the results. Um, well, UFC 300. I mean,
What a mountain to climb.
last episode we did an on the spot 13 fight parlay of the whole
Yeah.
card, and
Hell yeah, we did.
this opportunity we have for episode 116 is to talk about all the fights. Talk about them all. I don't know if we're gonna make a six fighter on the app or if we want
I
to
mean,
even.
I think
I'm
as we look at numbers and see what jumps out at us, I think that could happen. I'm gonna be monitoring what the books think is gonna happen in each of these fights, and we can kind of look at that. I think the only way to do it is start with the very first fight and work our way up. I will say
yeah
this: have you guys been watching Embedded?
I have.
yeah yeah.
There's a real fundamental problem in that with this many fighters, how do you get that in 10 minutes? You just can't do it.
You
Nope.
don't. Yeah, that's an excellent point because I had the same thought. I'm like, oh, they got Gaethje in like 2 back-to-back episodes.
Poeton too.
Like, and I'm like,
Hmm.
what about everybody else? So
I think it's a name
there-
recognition thing, but
that's
if you're
fair.
watching Embedded, you're at UFC.
Even the UFC like preview show that they do at the start of the week
Mm-hmm.
really only focused on the top 3 fights on the marquee.
How?
So
Ah,
it's difficult,
okay.
right? They'd have to do like
Okay.
2 hours.
They should. What the fuck else is ESPN showing? They're trying to convince people that they want to watch women's college softball. No, they don't. No, they don't. College basketball is over. You don't have to broadcast it live. Give me 2 hours of deep commentary on this. I'm 100% in for that. But when I saw that it was like 47 minutes, I'm like, oh, that's not enough time.
No,
Don't they
it's
listen
not.
to the Pretty Neat podcast?
Come on. We could do 47 minutes about the pros and cons of
Jiu-jitsu class.
yeah,
We
exactly.
damn near
Which
have already.
like yeah,
We
that's
could
not
do
an
47
overstatement.
minutes on the early prelims.
We
Probably.
literally could.
Yeah. If you want us to, let us know.
We
Uh,
could no, I take that back. We could get 47 minutes out of the early prelims on almost any numbered card, much less like that's a bad job by ESPN. That's what I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah. Well, once we dip into those advanced stats, like
Oh yeah.
we're going deep.
Oh, balls deep. We are fucking asses to ankles here, you know.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Connor McDavid has not played a single minute tonight.
All right.
So
He's
yeah,
resting. It's
on
late in the
the
evening.
Oilers. But yeah, first fight. I guess we're getting into the first fight.
Let's do it.
Is that happening?
So
Okay.
Davison Figueiredo, Cody Garbrandt, Davison not open. Well, opens, but today is a minus 330, give or take, across the board. And they do project it to go over a round and a half.
Okay.
You want to hear something interesting? So I was listening to like plenty of previews for this card because that's what I do. So there are 2 prominent ex-UFC fighters that both picked Cody Garbrandt to win
Which
this
two?
fight.
Mm.
Michael Bisping and
Mm.
Paul the Irish Dragon Felder. Both thought that
Paulie Felds?
Paulie Felds, the ginger man himself, the Iron Lung is how they call him now as he's training for triathlons.
Of course he is.
Yeah, that's what he does. Anyway, both of them, kind of unprovoked, but they both went with Garbrandt, which I thought was very interesting because while it's only one fight, what Davison did in coming up against Rob Font was really impressive.
A guy who beat Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, yeah. Like Davison, we were concerned about him being washed, right? He definitely needed to go up to 135 because he was not going to be able to cut the weight to 125 any longer. But still was explosive, and against, let's just be honest, like upper half of the division competition right now, he looked fantastic. And while he didn't necessarily get a finish, if I recall correctly, uh, still like pillar to post, right? Full control, domination.
Yeah.
And Cody Garbrandt's not like setting the world on fire here.
Since when? Since
He's
2016.
Since he lost his belt.
Uh-huh.
Let's be honest,
Yeah.
like he's shown a little bit of chinniness. They had a segment, speaking of embedded, where he was in the gym, and what was he doing? He was training his neck muscles.
Yep.
Right? Because I know that's in the back of his mind. It has
Yep.
to be all of the time. I not to say like things can't happen and Cody can't catch Davison,
Cody hits hard,
but
man.
he does. But is that what Davison's going to do? Davison has a really well-rounded game. And while Cody does have a wrestling background, when has he ever used it?
That's very true. An
So that
interesting take I liked was that Figueiredo is a very forward pressure guy who throws straight punches, and Cody throws hooks, and he's incredibly fast. So
yes.
if Figueiredo puts a lot of forward pressure on, moving in with straight punches, he's fucked by the power of Cody Garbrandt. So I can see that. I can see Garbrandt winning it. I can, but I'm still picking Figueiredo.
Okay, I was
I
going to say, do you think he does then? But so
no,
you're still on the Figueredo train.
I'm still on the Figueiredo train. Yeah.
So I'm looking at two lines that I think are worth considering. If you think
Mm-hmm.
Davison's going to win, him by decision is plus 180.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, however, Cody by knockout is plus 550.
I
So
like that.
that's
Little
intriguing
sprinkle.
because, right,
That's
if
how it's
to
going to happen.
if Cody wins, that's how it's going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. To Aaron's
Yeah.
point, like the power, the hooks,
Mm-hmm.
what he did to Rafael Assunção with that like
Could happen to
springing,
Davison Figueiredo.
Lightning strike. Absolutely could happen to
Mm-hmm.
Davison.
it could
Mm-hmm.
happen. Yeah.
Could happen to anybody
Yeah. So I think you
except
pepper.
TJ Dillashaw. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Very true. And I think Cody, both former champs. Like, just, I mean, hey, we're kicking off the early prelims, the opening fight on the card, two former champs.
Yep.
Like, and neither of them, I feel, are washed. Like, Cody,
Um,
he might be getting there. If he gets finished in this fight,
How
I,
old is Cody?
he's 32, 33 now.
Like Davison's definitely older, right?
He looks older.
Cody
I'm fairly confident that he is.
is 32.
Okay, yeah, so I was right. Yeah, he's 32.
Davison
30?
is 36.
36.
36
No
at
shit.
135. That doesn't bode well.
No.
Yeah.
But like he's coming up in weight. That should count for something in his favor, I should say.
Cody is 3
Uh,
inches taller, but is giving 2.5 inches in reach.
That ape index can get you sometimes. But yeah, I'm still on Figueiredo. I'm on that train. The other thing too is Figueiredo's shorter. You just said, is he shorter? They the same height?
Yes. No, he's
shorter.
Okay. Um, yeah, well actually never mind. It's something to bring up for a later fight.
I think if you're gonna bet it, Cody by knockout or Figgy by decision.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't think there's a straight line on this. I don't
No,
think you
I
can
don't think
pick.
so either. Do you like the plus 550, Ryan?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Hmm.
Like that's a great hedge
Hmm.
because we all acknowledge that if Cody's going to win, it's going to be by KO.
Hmm. Yep. I like it. So I think you can kind of another kind of safe bet you could make since Figueiredo is the favorite is if you do have Figueiredo um go under on fantasy score. Because
So
like
on our yeah, okay. That's an
yeah.
issue. What is it?
It's probably in the I would assume it's probably in the
It's
90s.
gotta be. We have Figueiredo on the 13 fight money line parlay. We
We
chose
do.
him to win. So I think Cody by knockout is a decent hedge.
Yeah. Yeah, good one. Okay.
honestly, you could math that out to cover your losses on the parlay if you lose it in the very first fight of the night. So you
Hmm.
can make it up there.
There you go.
All right. So that's Davison Figueiredo and Cody Garbrandt. A fight that would have headlined 97% of the fight nights that we've seen in the last 4 or 5 months
Mm-hmm.
at without even looking. So good
We're off
start.
to a good start.
It's a
Yeah.
good start.
We are. Fight number 2.
Not as much of a good start for me, but I know Aaron, your boy's here.
Yeah. I forgot to bring up the
This
it's
is
not
this is
loading.
Bobby Green and Jim Miller.
Bobby Green and Jim Miller. Yeah. Uh I mean, y'all know what I think already. I think Jim Miller's gonna win, and I think he's gonna win by submission. That's
Well,
what I.
Submission? Okay.
Jim
Hmm.
Miller by knockout or submission is plus 220. By submission or points is plus 200. By submission alone is plus 525.
There you go. That's
Bang
what I.
those lines. I
Yeah.
won't be banging any of those lines.
Yeah, I think this
I'm
is
not picking anything on this fight. We picked, for the record, Bobby Green on the big parlay. So
Yeah, and Bobby Green should win. He does have the power. Um and Jim Miller's very, very tough. I think Jim's got way more tools in this case. He can submit him, he can knock him out, he can get a decision. And Bobby Green's gonna either knock him out or lose a close decision.
hmm.
That's what I think will happen because Jim Miller ain't gonna gas.
No,
That
he's not.
No.
Bobby
so
by KO or sub is only plus 175.
that surprises me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he's younger. He's younger. He's got more spark and got a lot of hype. Changed his name to King. You don't do that for no
He's
reason.
King Green.
Yeah.
Now, let's be honest, right? Jim Miller's 40.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Green's 37. So at 155, both these gentlemen have seen far better days.
Mm-hmm.
I We leaned and we picked Bobby Green, but I also have concerns about Bobby Green's decision making, right? When he's I don't know how to say this, when he's feeling himself, right?
Hmm.
Tends to continue to put his foot on the gas when he could be making better decisions. And that's where I think Jim Miller could catch him. I don't see where Jim Miller, unless he changes his whole game plan from what he's been doing, I don't know how he's going to get Bobby Green down. Now, it is interesting that Jim Miller's fighting Southpaw and Bobby Green they say he's fighting Orthodox, although he does a ton of stance switching. But that whole opposite lead foot leads to somebody who focuses on grappling when your lead leg is close to your lead leg to get that single. But we haven't seen it from Jim Miller like in a concerted effort. But Aaron, I think what your thing is, hey, 100, 200, 300, that magic. We know that Jim Miller is going to be putting a shitload into this fight because we're all hypothesizing that if he wins, he's going to retire, or regardless, win or lose, he's going to retire. So why not go out on top and have that type of storybook ending, which would make 300 even more memorable, right? From a prelim perspective. So, well, I still think all things considered, Bobby Green has more skills, and I think this will remain on the feet for the most part, and he has a clear edge there. Uh, there's that whole like mythology thing with Jim Miller that's happening right now.
So their last few opponents, Jim Miller, dating back to, let's go since 2022. He fought someone with the last name Mata, Cowboy Cerrone. Is this the other Alexander Hernandez? Yep, Alexander Hernandez. Someone with the last name Butler and someone with the last name Benitez. Gabriel Benitez. Bobby Green, though, since 2022. Islam Makhachev, not sure if you've heard of him. Drew Dober, Jared Gordon, Tony Ferguson, Grant Dawson, And did the Jalen Turner fight happen?
Yes.
Yeah, Jalen Turner knocked him out brutally.
There's no result on the UFC website. So definitely Bobby Green, I would say, has had the more difficult path as of late. He lands a lot more strikes than Jim Miller
He
does.
does.
He does. A shitload. Six a minute.
Yeah.
Mhm.
More than double what Jim lands. I don't know. I like Bobby Green here. I don't particularly love any of the other bets. So
There you go. There we go.
it's a real good start to this card.
It is, and that is one of the only 3 fights that does not feature a former champion
Or current champion, yeah.
or current. Yeah. The next fight features a former women's champion, Jessica Andrade, who's fighting Marina Rodriguez.
So on our big parlay, we have Marina Rodriguez here. She's a -115 favorite. This has now shifted though.
Mm-hmm.
She is now a +120 underdog.
Yeah, ESPN shows her as a +115.
We
Yep,
got her
same.
last week at -115. Interesting.
It was a pick'em at the time that we made the selection, but since that time, the money's been coming in on Andrade. And I'm curious, like
Why?
what the sharps are thinking, right?
Mhm.
In putting the money on Andrade.
Let me see
She's
if I
been
can
very
see
up
this
and
while we
down.
talk.
Now her fight history, there is a lot of late fight replacements where she's stepping in, right? The Yan
Mhm.
Xiaonan, and then like less than a couple of months later, she fought Tatiana Suarez. Like these are difficult fights, right? She had a 3-fight losing streak, but that was Aaron Blanchfield, Yan Xiaonan, who's fighting for the title, and then Tatiana Suarez, who I think should be fighting for the title, but she just can't get healthy, which is a damn shame.
Mm-hmm.
And then her last fight, she beat Mackenzie Dern pretty decisively. And that was when we thought Mackenzie was at her absolute worst. And then she somewhat saved face in Anaheim this year in February.
Mm-hmm.
For what it's worth, the sharps Aaron do like Jim Miller.
Oh, that's nice. What's fun is I don't necessarily know if it's the sharps that are pumping up
Mo-
Andrade here. I feel like it could be the people who casually engage with UFC and or just bettors who maybe don't know much about the whole thing and they see Andrade next to Marina and they see former champ who's got huge ass muscles who slammed Rose on her head
with a plus money line next
with
to
a
her name.
plus money line
Yeah,
and
that's
they
fair.
dump, you
That's
know?
fair.
Whereas Marina is gonna throw a shitload of strikes in here and pepper Andrade up and can probably play the appropriate distance game. So I still think that our initial decision on Marina is a good choice. Uh,
So Marina
eh,
by decision is +210.
that surprises me that that
How
is
is that?
a
Yeah,
plus. That is,
I don't see where.
don't
Well,
put the house on it.
she's an underdog now.
Put the casita on that. Put the in-law. What is the in-law thing you guys were talking
We
about?
we call it the
The,
next gen.
The next gen house that comes with your new home that you purchase.
it's
Um,
more like previous gen. We discussed
It
this.
is. It's so much more. It's so much that.
yeah, it's like in Menifee, how they have the active senior community across the street from the cemetery, which is the inactive senior community.
That's right. So I like Marina by decision at +210.
I
That's a
love
I love that.
that's a nice little line right
I
there. I
love
don't think
that.
she's going to stop her.
Take that out to dinner and have it pay.
If you like her by KO or points, see that goes down to +110. That's weird. They think she's going to beat her by points or on points, which would be, is that a split decision?
I guess.
I don't understand that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
yeah, if she's
Because
gonna
wouldn't
win,
it say KO or decision? Anyway,
yeah,
Marina by decision is +210. I like it.
I love that. Yeah, take it. Uh,
I've got some other sharp takes here as we go. fight by fight. Okay.
Great.
They
Okay.
do like Jim Miller though, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, the next fight is number two of the three that do not feature a current or former champion.
So a really interesting sharp take here. Go ahead.
Yeah, you got the tarantula, Jalin Turner fighting Moicano Renato Carneiro.
What?
His name's Renato Carneiro, but Moicano stuck. It's his nickname, and they just
He's
put it
money.
as
He's Money Moicano.
yeah, fuck that. He's Moicano. Moicano is his nickname. But
So
yeah,
this
money.
closes out the early prelim.
This does. What's your take on it?
Yeah. What's the
I
sharp take?
I don't have a take. It's the sharps really like him.
Who?
The sharps. I'm not going to divulge my sources.
No, but who do
I
they
don't know. Who
like?
do
You
they
said
like?
Oh, sorry. They like Moicano in round
No
three
way.
or decision.
what? I don't
Yeah.
like
Is that
that.
because they think that Renato will be able to get that to the ground?
Renato and decision pays somewhere between plus 430 and plus 465.
Okay, so I can see a world where Renato closes the distance and takes it to the floor, where Jalin hasn't really displayed uh
Sure.
like a strong game. He's a stand-up fighter.
Jalen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. He's a devastating striker, and he's fucking 6'3", and he fights at
He's so
155.
big.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna come in with a 5-inch reach advantage. He's
He
gonna
remains
land.
a decent favorite here for what
He
it's worth.
he did
Yeah,
win by
minus
sub
245.
he did win by submission against Brad Riddell,
Mm-hmm.
Was
and
that a club and sub though?
it
Yes.
was, and he trains at Carlson Gracie Riverside, by the way.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
We should
and
I
do a
need to go
drop in.
there. Be like,
We should do a
Jalin,
drop in. That's right.
Jalin, I want a live round with you.
please sign my gi if he wins. Uh,
I need my friend here to take a picture of you choking me out.
according to Dom, pictures are gay, so no, can't do that. Uh, I like Jalin. I think Jalin is an appropriate favorite here. I think
I agree.
I don't see where they are coming from with a third round finish or decision, frankly. I think Jalin
Yeah.
will touch him up in the first round. He throws 6 strikes per minute against 4, and he has a 5-inch reach advantage, and he's 6 years younger. And he's
So
4 inches taller. Like maybe
I
maybe the height will lend to Hanato getting some double leg takedowns. Like he's a little shorter, so it's easier for him to get to the legs. But like, no, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I think this is Jalin masterclass.
So
it's interesting. Go ahead, Dom.
one thing it says is they like it live. If they're saying if you can get, they like the round three or decision now, which some books will take from Moicano. And they said if you can get it live, if they get out of the second round, go hard on Moicano, which I suppose I can
Hmm.
sort of see. I don't like
Okay.
it. I would not bet it, but
I wouldn't either. And we picked Jalin in our massive parlay on the last episode, yeah?
yes.
Okay. Cool. I'm comfortable with the takes on that.
And that closes out a pretty impressive early prelims.
Yeah. And it takes us to the last of the 3 fights that does not contain a champion or former champion in Sodiq Yusuff and Diego Lopes, which was also
Diego,
the last fight added to the card, I'm pretty sure. One of them.
I think you're right. Diego getting a little bit of shine on embedded too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that I think he's just likable. I think that
Okay.
that's why they're putting him in front of everybody. Likable guy.
So we've got Sodiq Yusuff to win here on the big parlay.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm sure the sharps have an opinion. Let me see.
Yeah. And I think a reason we picked that is Sadiq has something to prove. I think that that's fair. And Diego is the type of fighter who has to get hurt first. Like he has to get activated in the fight. Like he gets rocked and then he comes back and destroys you. And we also felt that Sadiq was not going to let that happen. That if he rocked Diego, he's finishing it. He's going to clobber him with ground and pound. Um, So I like Sadiq in this. Uh, I think I initially went with Diego, but I've leaned more towards Sadiq in the last few days.
So we got Sadiq at minus or at plus 110, and he
He's plus
currently
120 now.
plus 120. So
Yeah.
more money has come in on
Maybe that's the
Diego.
embedded love.
Maybe.
Him
Show.
eating Mexican food with his family on Sunday.
I don't think guys this far down, whoever they are on a card, get moved by anyone but the Sharps, to be honest with you.
That's reasonable. Yeah.
They're the
Very
only ones that are going to bet heavy enough to really get attention.
cool. Yeah. I don't have much to say on this, and I'm more excited to get into the rest of the fights.
Yeah.
So unless
Same.
you, yeah.
This
Mm,
next one.
yeah, we've been
Oh
talking
my.
about it for probably literally years at this point.
Yep.
I
For sure have been thinking about it for
yeah,
years.
I think that we've easily talked about, everyone should just go listen to our entire catalog. There's 115 episodes that you can go back and listen to. I can guarantee that within the first 20 or 30, Dominic brought up Kayla Harrison
Mm-hmm.
being the best women's fighter on the planet. Not just not in the UFC, but on the planet. And before she even won the PFL belt the first time, I'm fairly confident, or if not around that time.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we start?
So the Sharps say, and this is an interesting take, the Sharps are concerned about the weight cut for Kayla. And I don't really see how you make any other point that Holly could have an advantage. Um, with
Only in
all,
distance management.
yeah, sure. And that works until it doesn't.
Yep.
With all due respect to Holly Holm, who we are big fans of on this show. They like a pre-fight Holly Holm money line. They say enjoy the fight and don't go broke. Don't basically they're saying you can't, there's no value on betting on Kayla. Um, and you could kind of hope she has trouble on the scale. Even her by knockout or submission is a minus 115. Um,
Hmm.
Kayla by decision is plus 110. I could see that. Kayla specifically by KO is plus 315. Sub is 200. Um,
Hmm.
yeah.
What's Holly by KO?
Holly by KO is a little nicer. It's plus 1,000.
Okay. Which is
Yeah. They
that
really
is
don't think that's going to happen.
it was bigger than that when she knocked out Ronda. No, and but
Kayla Harrison is better than Ronda Rousey ever was.
1,000% she is.
Also, there's an interesting under 2.5 total rounds here at plus 125.
Huh.
But I
Okay.
could see Kayla and decision is plus 102. I don't hate it. Um,
Okay. Your
no,
dominance
Kayla
though.
Kayla by decision is plus 110. I don't know why whatever. Kayla by decision is plus 110.
Yeah, I think Kayla finishes this fight. Holly's old. We've talked about that, and
That's
Kayla's gonna rush in. She's not gonna play the distance game. It's,
Kayla is so jacked.
she has enough pride. She has enough confidence. I won't even say she has enough pride, because watching Embedded and her previous interviews in PFL, she does not come off as proud. She
No,
comes off
no.
as confident,
Hmm.
and I like that. And based on her pictures of her 135 UFC photo shoot, she looks like a really solid 135er. So
Yeah, she's not 135 in those pictures.
probably not, but I think she can healthily make weight. I do, and I don't think it'll completely destroy her performance. I just
Ryan, what do you
don't.
think?
I think she's gonna get super sucked out to get to 135. Those
Fucked
pictures that you
out.
shared, like she's got no body fat.
Zero.
Like, like she's shred city. She's
Hmm.
a brick shit house. However you want to say it.
She's so
She was
sturdy.
All the Ninja
super solid.
Turtles. We got Master Shredder over here.
Yeah, yeah, she is the shredder. Um, that's the only variable right now is, I think we've seen enough day of weigh-ins. Like we can look at a fighter and be like, oh fuck, like that was a really bad cut.
Yep.
This is the only unknown. We know what
this
she
is
can do.
yeah. This is the one time where I might try to carve some time. Oh no, they're on Friday, right?
Hmm.
Oh
Hmm.
yeah, no, I have to do. I'm sitting in meetings literally all day and I can't do it. But I don't ever watch the weigh-ins. This is the one I'd be really, really interested to see. You
Hmm.
got to think she wouldn't have signed if she didn't like know she could do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I wonder if they'll show it on embedded or like in the weight cut process.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? We got her at minus 550 last week. That has moved to minus 475. So money has come in on Holly.
Holly has a dedicated fan base.
Yep.
She does, and I think there are people that they haven't heard that expression we toss around from time to time, which is that past performance is not an indicator of future success.
Nope.
And there might be people that think Holly can do it again. I think that she could, but it's a very small could. It's a very small could. She's 42. And I mean, Kayla is not a spring chicken, but she's 9 years younger. She's 33. I
Yeah.
mean, she's at her peak of peaks, and all dependent on how all the weight cut goes.
Real credit to Holly for taking the fight.
Yeah.
But if we're being honest, we have not seen her fight someone like this truly since
Probably Jermaine Durandamy.
no.
Maybe. And she's not
No,
even that good.
it's either Amanda in 19
Fair. There you go.
or Cyborg December 30th, 17, which she lost by decision. I don't know, stylistically, Amanda or Kayla is pretty close to both Cyborg and Nunez in some ways. And I
Hmm.
don't remember. I mean, Holly didn't get out of the first round with Nunez. And I remember watching the Cyborg fight, and Cyborg pretty clearly won the whole fight. So,
Hmm. Yes.
and that was a 5-rounder. I just don't see it for Holly here. I really don't. She hasn't fought anyone of note really since then.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Yeah.
Well, good luck, Holly. Um, I hope that the preacher prays for you since you're his daughter.
That's right.
Come on, Ryan. The preacher's daughter. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got it.
Gave me that
I hope.
look.
I got it. No, it's
Okay.
good. I liked it.
Okay. As long as you're not disappointed in me. That's all I
No,
don't
no,
want.
no. You're good, man. You're good.
Ah.
So then for some reason the second fight of from the top of the prelims is Aljamain Sterling and Calvin Kattar. How many numbered cards in a row did Aljamain Sterling headline before this fight?
Quite a few.
In the ones that he fought in anyway. 4?
Uh, I would think at least 3,
Let's see.
4.
The Sean O'Malley was definitely a headliner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Henry Cejudo fight,
Probably not a headliner.
I think it may have been like a 2 title.
Yeah. Let's take
Sure.
No, it was. That was a Sterling Cejudo headliner.
Okay.
Okay.
And then it was the TJ
Dillashaw.
Dillashaw was not. That was Oliveira Makachev.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like still though, like
But
let's be honest.
he headlined against Jan twice.
Yeah.
It was not a headliner. Both times
Against
with
Jan?
Jan, the headliner was Volkanovski, Korean Zombie, and then prior to Jan was Blachowicz versus Adesanya.
Oh, that's right. Okay, but here's the thing. We're talking about a guy who is top billing.
Co-headlined.
He's on the poster. And
He's on the poster.
now he's co-headlining the prelims.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well,
how good this card is. And that's no shot at him.
no, not at all.
No.
But new division too. New division.
Mm-hmm.
New division. We have Aljo here to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We got him at -140. That has moved to -170.
Mm. I was talking to Zach about this uh on Box Alarm Trading, and Calvin's got power, of course he does, but Aljamain is really fucking good. He's top tier talent, and he's a wrestler who's going to be a lot shorter, but he has an excellent ape index.
He also
He
uses his
he
wrestling.
uses his wrestling. I
Mhm.
think that our choice of Aljamain is the correct choice. I think he gets it done by decision, by being able to get to Hader's legs and taking him down multiple times.
You like Aljo by decision.
I like Aljo by decision.
That pays +105. The sharps like Aljo inside the distance.
Hmm.
Really? Like,
But
would that just
submission,
be
rear naked
because
choke,
smothering?
They like a submission.
because he's a backpack. We've
club
seen
and
it.
sub maybe.
We saw him turn into literally become a backpack when he rematched Piotr Jan.
They're saying that Sterling stylistically is pretty close to Kattar stylistically is pretty close to Sandhagen, and Sterling
Okay.
finished that one pretty quick. That's the
Okay.
logic.
So
Not opposed.
the only knock against that is the only time that Calvin Kattar's ever lost by submission was in 2008 in Elite XC
Huh.
against somebody by the name of James Jones, and that was a rear naked choke, but like that was his fourth professional fight.
Okay.
Okay. I still like him by decision then, Aljo.
I think it goes to decision. I'm with you on that.
That still pays plus money.
Yeah. And you know what? Educator knockout if you're really feeling uncomfortable about it. And it's just because of power. And Aljo's been knocked out before. So
But
it
hedging
was
is
a
just
long,
pussy.
long time ago, and
We don't hedge.
it was a brutal knee. So totally different. But maybe that's what Cater's been training this whole time. Maybe he's prepared for the wrestling just with sharpening his knees. Good.
I don't know
If
where I stand on this one just yet.
hmm. Well, we did choose Aljo.
Yes, I'm just saying
Okay.
if I was gonna bet it again.
There we go. Then we go into an even bigger coin flip, and it is former champ Jiri Prochazka against Ryan's dark horse for light heavyweight champ by the end of 2024, Aleksandar Rakic or
Who else is
Rakic.
gonna fight for that belt?
Whoever wins this fight.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that later, aren't we?
Yep.
So you can get, yeah, so -105, -115. I think we have Rakic here, right? On the
I think
yeah,
we all
Rakic
liked
at
Rakic.
-135. So some money has come in on Yuri. We talked about this when Yuri fought Pereira. I think the Yuri thing or the Yuri thing is just I think he got a little I don't want to say I think
Yep.
the spotlight was on him just a little too quickly.
hmm Yeah. He's wild. He's entertaining, but he leaves his chin out. He gets hit. And I think a technical fighter like Rakic will simply find the spots. He'll just
This is
find
the
them.
first time we've seen Rakic since the injury. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess that's the main wild card here.
And he's had plenty of time to recover. I
He is
really,
a very small favorite.
hmm very small.
How do you see him doing it?
Decision.
Uh, I see, I see
Rakic
him.
by decision is +240.
I think he leg kicks the shit out of Yuri and catches him on either a stumble from a leg kick or getting back up from a brutal
That's
leg kick.
essentially how Pereira beat him.
Yep. And I think he leg kicks him until Yuri moves in wrong, and catches him. And I think Rakic knocks him out harder than Pereira did, more definitively, and that really lines him up to contend for the next
Rakic
belt.
by KO is only plus 200.
I like that.
Hmm.
I think the only bet you can't take on this reasonably is Yuri by decision. I can't see that. I can't see how that would be possible.
So Yuri by decision is plus 500. Yeah, I don't like it.
Hmm.
Rakic by sub is plus 1500.
Yeah,
I don't see that either.
he's a
No.
striker. He's a striker.
Glover Teixeira couldn't submit Yuri Prochazka and
Yeah.
damn near did. So
Yeah, and Yuri Prochazka ended up submitting Glover Teixeira. So I would take Yuri by submission before Rakic
hmm
by decision.
hmm
Rakic. I'm just I don't know how to fucking say his name.
Rockage.
Alexander Quidditch.
Rockage. Quidditch. Get that snitch.
Yeah. All right. Oh, I guess there was 4 fights that
Yep.
don't have a champion or former champion, but we
Mhm.
might as well just say future champion
Future champ.
Yes.
Bo Nickel. Bo Pickle. My nickel.
is fighting Cody Brundage. Uh, Cody Tomato Can Brundage. I mean, Cody Brundage has this fight because he wins everything by KO or he loses in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
So the question is like, does Bo knock him out or does he submit him?
I think a
You could
knockout.
you could reasonably play either of those. Bo by knockout is minus 135. By knockout is plus 110.
You said by knockout for both of those.
Bo by submission, sorry, is minus 135. Bo by knockout is plus 110.
Interesting. I think that's reasonable on the plus money then for the knockout. Um, my biggest problem with this is it'll be cool to see Bo win, but I don't think we're going to learn anything. So it's like he's just amazing, and I don't think they have put anybody in front of him that poses an interesting challenge yet. And it'll be awesome. It'll be fun if he wins. It'll be exciting if he wins, but nobody's going to know anything about how he'd compete against somebody else.
As we
That's it.
talked about last week, nobody is calling him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. His most impressive victory is Jamie Pickett, who is now retired.
Hmm.
Bo by
Yeah.
decision, interestingly enough, because there will be a fight in Bo's career where somebody unexpectedly pushes him to the brink. Um, I don't know how many times in his wrestling career he was pushed to the brink. I don't think many. Obviously, in MMA, it's never even been within fucking shouting distance. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. But when it does, you're going to get good odds on it. Bo is plus 800 by decision.
That would be shocking.
Remember that human, not human coloring book, but we'll need coloring books now.
Chris
Chris
Coutinho.
Coutinho almost took Sean O'Malley to decision
Ah, Cody
when Herb Dean
Brundage.
allowed him to take traumatic brain injury.
Cody Brundage record to me does not indicate that that is a possibility with him. He's gonna throw everything he has in the first round and either get caught and finished or early second round.
So when does Bo do it? Because Bo in the second round is plus 289.
Under 7.5 minutes. That's if I had to pick uh a line and a number, it would be under 7.5 for Bo Nickel.
Hmm.
I wouldn't take under 4.5. Like I don't know. Maybe Cody can catch him early and rock him, and then suddenly we find ourselves 4 minutes later after he recombobulates, Bo takes him down or
Hmm.
knocks him out. But yeah, I look forward to watching Bo Nickel win. Uh, but this is kind of that like thing I mentioned at the beginning of the pod where it's like this has the things I'm really looking forward to and the things that confuse me. And the thing that confuses me on this one is just that we're not going to learn anything about Bo. We're not gonna get a
How
picture of him on the competitive landscape
how do
by
we get to a fight for him where we learn something about him? How high up the rankings do we have to get?
at least 10th.
I was
You
thinking
think
the same
Jack
thing.
Hermanson can teach us something about Bo Nickel?
Yes. I actually really like Jack Hermanson. I really
Hmm.
like Jack Hermanson on this one. Look what he did to Joe Pyfer. And Joe Pyfer was a definite prospect, and
Yeah, I guess.
and he's got a similar finishing record. So yeah, I think Jack Hermanson would be a
How does
great
Paul
fight.
Craig do against him?
He
Ooh,
gets knocked out.
he gets knocked out. Yeah.
I would
Uh,
like to see it on the ground though.
I would like to see that on the ground.
But
So
no, but Brendan Allen submitted Paul Craig.
yeah.
You know what Bo Nickel would do to Brendan Allen? Do you
Uh,
guys know what Bo Nickel would do to Brendan Allen?
He would probably knock him out on the feet, if I had to
hmm,
guess.
I think it's like, what's the
yeah.
club in club? Do we have a name for that? Where he hits you so hard you go down and then he gets, depending on the referee, somewhere between 4 and 11,000 hammer fists.
Yeah. It's not a club sandwich. It's a club knuckle sandwich.
It's yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Okay. I like Bo by KO. I also like him in round two. But
mhm. There you go.
yeah, Bo in round one is a minus 133. Maybe not even the round two. Maybe save your money there. Just take Bo by knockout. Let it happen when it's going to happen. Don't get
Hmm.
too cute.
Yeah. Is there an over under on takedowns for this? Probably like 2.5.
You guys would have to tell me.
It's probably 2.5. Because I think the question will be how many, if Bo does not finish it just straight standing up, how many times does he have to take Cody down before he can put him down with ground and pound? And that's tough. I don't know if I would take over 2.5. I think it would only take him two at most, two takedowns.
It's 2.5 is the number.
I would probably put it at 2.5 if I was making those decisions, but I haven't looked. Uh, now I
I'm
am.
looking for you right now.
Oh, you are. Well, maybe I have it as well. Uh,
He does not have a prop for the picks.
oh. On the picks, he does have a significant strikes prop of 14.5. And I think that's wise to take an over on. I
Mm,
like over on that because
I don't.
yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe you think less or just
I just
not
think
taking
it's
it.
it's it's a stay away.
Fair. Fair enough. Go over on fantasy score.
That what is it, 171?
118,
You could
which I
talk me
mean,
into an over. You could talk me into an over there.
118 though, that is
That's a first
100.
round knockout or sub.
That's a first round knockout, but we've been fucked on that before where we picked
Yep.
first round knockout. It happened,
Yep.
but it was only like 6 strikes. So it was only like a
Yep.
103 score.
Yep.
So you could get screwed picking a higher on that, if it doesn't at least give you some strikes or a
Yep.
takedown or a knockdown. And that could happen. I could see him knocking Cody down and then Cody gets up and then he finishes it. That could happen. And then I think this is the most surprising underdog on the whole card.
I agree.
Charles Oliveira, plus 185 on ESPN, minus 225 for Arman Tsarukyan.
We got Charles at plus 175 last week. The line on the outlet I am using stands at plus 180. This
Okay.
is wildly disrespectful.
So much disrespect for
Charles by sub is plus 375.
That's
Last I checked, he had
ridiculous.
more submissions than anyone who's ever gotten in the cage.
Yeah, and Arman Tsarukyan does not stay away from takedowns. Like he's not a pure striker. He probably will try and take Charles
His
down at some
takedown defense
point.
is 75.
Yeah, he's solid. Like he
Mhm.
wrestling is there. And I do not think he should go to the ground at all. And if he does, he is fucked. He is fucked. So I'm happy we chose Charles. And I
Charles
think
is taller. Charles has a reach, both arm and leg advantage. Charles has fought the best of the best,
Mhm.
the
Justin
best of the best.
Justin Gaethje said that Charles Oliveira is one of the hardest punchers he has fought.
Yeah, this just feels. Do the Sharps have a thought here?
Disrespect.
This feels
Disrespect.
Disrespect.
disrespectful. This is not this is not like he's matched up with even Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje. You could talk me into one of those two guys being a favorite over him for whatever reason. This is wildly disrespectful.
hmm And we were talking about on the last episode, we talked about, or at least I think I mentioned, like, are they giving Arman the Ilia Topuria threat treatment? Like, do they think that he's this weight class's Ilia Topuria? Because if they
I mean,
do,
he's an up and comer for sure.
sure. I just don't see that. I think he's great. I just don't see that.
I cannot find a Sharp's opinion on this. This might be one where they're not putting it out there because they don't want to move the line. Charles
Maybe
by Charles by sub or KO is plus 215.
maybe they're worried Ian Gary's rubbed off on him too much
Maybe. Um
from
Charles
training
by
with him.
sub alone is plus 375. Charles by knockout is plus 725. I don't even hate that.
I don't really either.
Yeah. This is just the money line alone right now is Charles at plus 180. I like that too.
There you go. Anything else to add on this one? Ugh,
Nope, just disrespect.
disrespect.
I think my recommendation would be just play him at the highest money line odd you can get. That way it doesn't really matter how he wins.
There you go. Then we go into the first 5 rounder of the
Thank you for
card.
not calling it a title fight.
No problem. There's a belt on the line, not a title fight. And it is the peoples of Hawaii's main event. Max blessed Holloway and Justin the
Deny that.
highlight Gaethje.
Yep.
Finding out who the baddest motherfucker is. I So I've seen some swing on people really feeling like Max is getting disrespected here. I still think
No.
Justin Gaethje. I still think Justin
Last
Gaethje.
week you thought Max.
I pointed out the fact that Max Holloway is apparently sick. I don't maybe was that last week?
It was earlier this week you
Earlier
said,
this
"Hey,
week, yeah.
I reconsider because
Yes.
Max looks like he's sick."
Yeah, yeah. So I think that there's a little bit more weight to that now.
Okay.
And I as much as I would like to see Max win, because I think he could. I think he could. He's had plenty
He's
of
only a
time.
plus 140 dog here. This is not the Oliveira line. And it's Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, his
And Gaethje
output.
is this is not disrespectful to Max here.
No, no, and I think that Max, this is going to be a good fight, no matter what. I mean, Justin lets himself get hit. Max hits people. Max has had adequate time to prepare moving up to this weight, which he didn't against Dustin Poirier. He went to decision with Dustin Poirier, who punches people or jumps guard for guillotine.
Get that
Or
gilly.
so like tries to do it. So I mean, I think Max does have a real shot, but I really do think he's sick. That interview I saw, coughing, raspy, blowing his nose,
I
pounding
think a lot of
liquids.
guys are the fight week though. Because their body is so run down.
Could be, but he's moving up. He shouldn't be draining himself that much.
Just the training load, I'm saying.
Oh, fair enough, yeah. But still, I
I feel
don't
like
like the
I've
way
heard fighters say that.
I don't like the way he sounded. Because
And that's totally fair.
you don't have allergies in Hawaii. Like that just It's not a thing there. The air's too clean. The ocean filters the air. There's
So
no
we
allergies.
know that Max doesn't get finished, right?
Yes.
Justin by decision is plus 285.
I kind of like that. I actually kind of like that.
Max by decision, weirdly enough, because that's how he's gonna do it, is only plus 180.
Hmm. What's max by KO? Because I could see that.
Plus 725.
Hmm.
When was the last time Justin Gaethje was knocked out?
Oh, I can't recall the last time he was knocked out, but when was the last time he was rocked? His last fight? The fight before that? The
Mm,
fight before that? The last time he
mm,
wasn't rocked was against Tony Ferguson.
His last KO was the first Dustin Poirier fight in
Oh, that's right.
2018.
KO. Yeah, that's
It
right.
was two in a row. It was Poirier and Eddie Alvarez.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
But
Poirier,
those are the
He's
only two times. This guy is a fucking finish machine.
yes, he
Max is
is.
not going to knock him out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he would have to. If he did, it would just be after a shitload of peppering. I think we said on the last episode, Max can only knock out Justin if he does to Justin what Justin did to Tony Ferguson. And that ain't gonna happen. Just
No.
constantly beating up on his face and until a doctor says no. Your head is
No
now the
mas.
shape of a potato and you have to
You are a
retire.
potato.
Max stopped the Korean zombie, but we have not seen him stop someone other than that. Oh boy.
Long
Um,
time.
Brian Ortega in 2018.
Hmm.
And that was stopped after the fourth round. Didn't Ortega, wasn't that a doctor stoppage?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he knocked out Aldo twice in 2017 before that. Or did Aldo beat him the first time?
No, Aldo's never beat him.
Yeah. So I don't see it.
Mm-mm. I don't either.
Max is gonna win on points
If he's gonna win, yeah.
if he's gonna win.
Yeah.
And I don't I like Justin by decision at plus 285.
I like Justin by decision at plus 285. Like it.
And I think they're gonna stand in there and hit each other for 25 minutes.
I do too. I do too. It's like Justin says, let's go see whose bones are harder.
Yep.
And I think Max is willing to do that. And also, Justin's leg kicks are a nightmare. And if you're gonna take away Max's ability to strike, you're gonna go after his legs. And I think Justin could do that. And his fight IQ, training with Trevor Whitman, is just brought him up to a new level. So I think Justin fights smart in this fight. And a solid decision or a finish.
Okay. Two more. The women's strawweight title.
Yep. I have a prediction.
Yan Jinan and Zhang Weili.
Mm-hmm. I believe
What's
that the belt is going to China.
okay?
You're welcome.
That's a bold prediction.
Okay. We apologize for that, dear listeners. We owe you more, and from here on out, you will get more.
Yeah, I
Um,
will double down on that bet. It is going to China. But like is Zhang finishing this fight or is he going to decision? That's the real question.
Zhang by decision is plus 525, so they don't think so.
Whoa.
5 rounds is a long fight.
5 rounds is a long fight. They actually have pretty even win by splits as far as knockouts go. Yan or Zhang, excuse me, has the submission option that Yan just does not have.
She also av averages more than 2 takedowns per fight. I think that she could get it to the ground. I think that takedowns are her key to victory.
You're saying Zhang averages 2 takedowns a fight.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that is her key to victory. That's her path
So
is
Zhang
either.
by submission is plus 525.
Uh, I don't think she'll get a submission. I think it'll
Okay.
be ground and pound or a a very clear decision based on at least 3 or 4 takedowns over the course of the 5 rounds. Just gassing Yan Jianan out and calling it a wrap.
Hmm.
Nothing else to add. I got nothing to add to that face of Ryan.
I'm trying to find a reasonable like optional bet to take here. Obviously, in the big parlay, we have Zhang. I just don't know. I don't know.
I still think for whatever reason, like maybe it's past fights, but like Zhang going the distance, right? Carla Esparza, meh, but Amanda Lemos, like she wore it, but she went the whole way and it went to decision. And then
Mhm.
like the Rose fight where she lost, but that was also a decision. Like I think Xiaonan is tough enough to take this all 5 rounds. While she loses, I'm thinking it more of like what's the best value here is taking Zhang by decision.
That goes plus 170.
Hmm.
Hmm.
We still picking Zhang.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I don't see any other outcome like in
there's no
terms of
other
who
option.
wins, but I think it goes to decision.
Yeah,
I do
I do
too.
too.
There we go. The main event,
Okay.
the
Okay.
last fight, the light heavyweight championship of the world, the
There
undisputed
is
champ.
only winning method posted here.
Oh,
And for what? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and it's a coin flip. It is a coin flip.
No, it's not.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay, fair enough. You think
And
it's
the sharps believe that Pereira is actually undervalued. Um,
okay.
I do too. I think he gets it done by knockout. I don't know that this thing gets to the third round.
Hmm. Reasonable.
I don't know if Jamahal Hill is gonna allow that to go to the third round either way. Like he's sort of a get in your face type of fighter.
Mhm.
And I also think that Alex Pereira thrives in a counter striking role.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can counter strike, ooh, that's knockout city right there.
Well, we've never seen him counter strike before, have we? Except basically every time he fights.
Except when he like all of his highlight reel knockouts,
Yeah.
like that Sean Strickland left hook.
Yeah, like those.
Yeah, like that was pretty good, right?
Like Jiri Prochazka coming in on him and going to sleep.
The
Yep.
elbows, yeah.
Yeah.
Elbows in.
Yeah. Not a good plan. Not a good place to be going up against this guy. Um, Hill hits hard. I said it on the last episode. That's the maybe the only differentiator in this situation is that Hill can put you away with a straight punch if he gets you in the rights. If he can hit you directly, it's dangerous. And Pereira has been knocked out by less powerful fighters than Jamahal Hill, Israel Adesanya. So Jamahal Hill, I think, is a knockout threat. Uh, but Alex Pereira is Alex Pereira. He's his own beast, man. He's his own beast. I think this is a counterpunch knockout.
So remember I said the left hand, right? Like one of the highlight reels is his left-handed hook knockout of Sean Strickland at
Hmm.
185.
And Israel Adesanya when they were kickboxing.
So we have yet another instance of an orthodox fighter versus a southpaw where your lead hand presumably is your jab, which leaves you open to a counter strike with in Alex's
Hmm.
situation a left hook,
Yeah, which will be hidden
right?
behind the outstretched
Behind that
jab.
jab. Yeah. Yeah. Like if
Dangerous.
you're anticipating this and you've trained for it, if he's fighting off of that jab and he can counter with a lead left hook, I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Yep. It
So
smells like hit right on the temple, just out.
yeah, it's interesting here too. You know, I talked about the first fight with
Cody and
with both
Figueiredo.
Garbrandt and Figueiredo, with Michael Bisping and Felder picking Garbrandt, which is like, you know, seemingly contrary to the popular opinion. And we're like, okay, so what's playing into that? Both of these gentlemen also picked Jamahal Hill to win by KO,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
is interesting, right?
Yeah.
And
It went against
they're
their own
both
logic.
they're both referencing like striking power and what Jamahal Hill has been able to do at the 205 division. But Alex Bejeda, like we said this when he was still fighting at 185, that he could easily move up and still be physically imposing at 205.
And it turned out that he
Now,
was against Jiri Prochazka.
Yep.
it's the truth. And he's just had more time to continue to pack on weight. And oh, by the way, we're like kidding and joking, but maybe not so much talking about him going up to heavyweight to fight to fight for the interim belt because
Yeah.
Alex.
there's
Yeah.
Alex
Against
Bejeda, yeah,
Aspinall. Yeah.
because there's hypothetically no other fights for Aspinall that people are not willing to take. I don't see it. He's a cleaner striker. If we talk about at distance, like he has more weapons. Yes, things can happen at 205, right? People get caught and that power translates and ends up in being some type of flash KO or early stoppage. But, you know, all things considered, how do you not favor Alex in this fight?
Let's look at the quality of opponent very quickly. He Jamahal Hill, we talk about him being this elite striker. He has one flash KO in recent memory.
Walker.
Johnny Walker. Yeah, he knocked out Jimmy Crute
Yeah.
in 48 seconds, but like who cares about that? Since 2022, Jamahal Hill has fought 3 times. Johnny Walker, Thiago Santos, and an old Glover Teixeira. Santos took him deep into the 4th round. He went to decision with Glover. Since 2022,
Yeah. That's how he won the belt.
Alex Bejeda has fought We Don't Talk About Bruno Silva. And then 4 consecutive current or former champions in 5 fights. Strickland, Adesanya again, Jan Blachowicz, which that's the fight people forget about. That's the one where he was tested and showed what he could do. Jan is a fucking good fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then he knocked out Yeri. Okay. Jamahal Hill also tore his Achilles last year.
Mm-hmm. And they
So
brought him out from recovery early.
so I if we had seen him defend it against someone after the Glover fight and no torn Achilles, the Jamahal Hill argument would be stronger. But we're pretending that he's this like elite striker. No, he punched Glover while Glover walked into it for 25 minutes. I watched that whole fucking fight. Okay. You cannot try to engage like that with Alex Bejeda. It simply, unless you are a striker on the level of Israel Adesanya, and by the way, that's only worked for him once in what, 5 tries now. So come on, off of a torn Achilles, he hasn't been in there. I just, and you just, man,
I pull for him. I just don't see it. I think Bejeda gets it done
by knockout.
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
knockout.
Knockout.
This weekend is the Super Bowl of MMA.
Yep.
Like Dom and I were saying. I look forward to it. I look forward to talking about it.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be sweating the whole time. I'm hopefully gonna be drinking the whole time, and I'm gonna enjoy the shit out of Saturday. And I mean, I don't always pay attention during all 7 hours of a UFC card. We kind of fade in and out during the prelims. This is
Not
like
no. This
this
is
is
not that.
glued. This is
This is
glued.
locked in from the first time they show Bruce Buffer.
And you know what?
The-
This will be really interesting to watch from a perspective of when you watch a numbered card, you see that the audience is half empty until the main event starts.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think that's gonna happen.
Ain't gonna happen this time. This is butts and seats the entire fucking card, or everyone who bought a ticket to the UFC, to T-Mobile, who doesn't go to every fight is a fucking moron. You paid how much for these tickets?
Unless you're on a heater that you can't walk away from.
Fair
That-
enough. If you're on a 37 roll on craps, you stay. You do that. That's fine. But if you
But
don't,
let's be real, you're not on a 37 roll, right? And
You're
the
not.
real move is you stop gambling 2 hours before,
Mhm.
because if you're in Vegas for this, you got to eat something. Let's be real.
Yep.
So you go and get something awesome to eat. You keep drinking,
Yep.
obviously.
Yes.
But you prepare yourself. You get your gambling done earlier. You
Yep.
bring your tickets into the arena with you because you got to bet on every fight.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
I mean, come on.
Do
You
your
gotta- you
gambling at
gotta
Park
be in there.
MGM across the street,
You
so you're
gotta be
right
in
there.
there. You got to be in there.
Yep. You got to be able to look out the window of Park MGM and see the lines forming outside, so you know
Yeah.
when to go.
That's
Not to
exactly
mention
right.
just the awesome fighter sightings you're gonna have at this card.
Oh, the everything sightings it's going to be a spectacle. Yeah.
You're gonna see tits. It's
Oh,
that
yeah.
level of
Oh, yeah.
spectacle.
What do you guys think? Let's see if we can get a little. Have you looked up prices?
On the tickets,
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look.
I don't
Let's
think
see
you're
if I
gonna get
can-
nosebleeds under 500.
Let's take a look here.
Not a chance. T-Mobile's, I
No.
mean, somewhat small.
You can do it. You can get in for less than 5.
Can you?
Let's say you're
Is-
buying 2 tickets because you're not a fucking weirdo. Yeah, you can be at the tippity top.
The last row.
Tippity top, the very last row, in the very top, for $458.
And after the fees, it'll be
No,
$700.
that is after fees.
Okay.
That is after fees. For 566, 611 for like better seats that are still on the very top. If you want to be on the floor, you're opening up for 2 Gs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's expensive.
This week's award, the Pretty Neat podcast, I think you're pretty neat, but I respect your distance award. I think just has to go to the UFC for putting this card
does.
on.
It does.
And I do think that there is an appropriate thing to take episode 116 out on.
Okay.
And it is this is Sparta 2024.
Hey, you know why I love MMA so much? It's pretty neat. That is 100% true, but it's also because it brings us together. You know what? Violence really does bring people together. Yes, let's get